Okay. You can say something.
Hello, good afternoon from India, New Delhi ICID Central Office. There was some delay. There was some delay in starting this webinar series because of certain technical problems at the end of our speaker. As this seminar is as a part of our policy to disseminate our knowledge and share experience on a wider base, and we are conducting this webinar series on a regular basis, and for mainly for the professionals working in the field of agriculture, water management, irrigation, drainage, and flood management. So we have divided webinar series into two parts. First is professional series, and second is young professional series. And this particular webinar on water and heritage is part of our professional series. As we all know that water-related structures exist throughout the world. However, of late, traditional and historical knowledge of the water-related heritage is ignored due to adoption of modernized, ingenious, and simple approaches which are adopted from time to time. Today, there are a number of organizations looking into historical and heritage aspects of water-related sites, but their concentration is mainly on architectural and urban planning aspects, and rather than on knowledge and wisdom that can be experienced and gained from these heritage sites. Other aspects which are also generally overlooked are institutional and governance, legal and spiritual and ethical values, which can be integrated into contemporary planning and construction to arrive at unconventional solutions to the problems. This webinar will examine this particular topic on the subject of water-related heritage sites. It will highlight the relevance of heritage to the present and future. Case studies on water heritage will be presented, and the plan to set up an ICOMOS International Scientific Committee to encourage water heritage research will be illustrated. Our main speaker or expert speaker is Mr. Henk van Schaik from ICOMOS, Netherlands. And another panelist is, or another speaker is Mr. Tino. So I just give their brief background of both Mr. Henk and Mr. Tino. So Mr. Henk Van is an MSc in water engineering at Wageningen University and graduated in 1973. From 1973 till 1987, he worked on water supply for rural areas in Africa, and from 87 till 2000 as water advisor or inspector for Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Development Cooperation. From 2001 till 2012, he was the director of the International Cooperative Program on Water and Climate. From 2012 till date, he is Ambassador Water and Heritage of ICOMOS, Netherlands. His fascination is to help make water-related cultural heritage relevant to planners and policymakers, dealing with present and future water challenges. Since 2012, he pursues this mission with Diederik Six, former president of ICOMOS, Netherlands, through organizing events, publications, media presentations, and the initiation of International Scientific Committee of Water and Heritage of ICOMOS. He is a member of International Technical Committee of World Water System Heritage Program of ICID and the World Water Council. Mr. Tino studied media technology in Leipzig and art history and communication science in Berlin, Barcelona, and Tokyo. Graduated as an engineer in 2004 and 2009 master at him. In 2015, he received his PhD. In dazzling vagueness, the notion of authenticity in architectural heritage from Institute of Art Studies and Historical Urban Studies at the Technical University Berlin. The dissertation was funded by an Elsa Newman Fellowship and was awarded the interdisciplinary first prize for outstanding dissertation. He completed research stays in Japan and at the University of California, Los Angeles, and was a lecturer at the Technical University Berlin and ITU Istanbul, Turkey. Subsequently, scientific assistant at the Chair of History and Theory of Architecture at the TU Dortmund and postdoctoral fellow of the Lesbic Association. Since 2017, he has been a postdoc at the Chair of History of Architecture and Urban Planning at the Delft University of Ecology. Tino's main interests include heritage conservation and cultural heritage theory. In addition, he has published on post-war modernist architecture and its preservation, on Japanese architecture and transnational education of artists in 19th century. As part of Archimedial project, he is working on the development of methods for the use of artificial intelligence in architectural historical research. Now I request Mr. Tino Meagher to give his opening remarks. Mr. Tino?
Yes?
Yes, now you can start.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for the kind introduction and the welcoming words. I say hello. Here it's 10 a.m. in the morning. We are broadcasting from the Technical University in Delft in the Netherlands. So you already heard the introduction. I am with Henk van Schaik. He is the water ambassador of ICOMOS Netherlands. And my name is Tino Meagher. I'm an associated researcher at the Center for Global Heritage and Development. In the next 30 minutes, we would like to give you an introduction into this topic of water and heritage. And we hope to create some awareness and also some interest for the topic. Basically, this is just about heritage sites that are related to water. And as you will see, there are actually a lot of heritage sites in the world that are related to water, even if it's not very obvious. But first, we want to start a little bit with our motivation and our ideas why we are pursuing this matter. And I want to ask Henk, what makes you tick? What is your motivation when it comes to water as heritage?
Well, thank you very much, ICID headquarters, SADEV in particular, for the opportunity to explain a little bit about what makes us, Tino and myself, and also SADEV, ICID, and so many others, tick to bring heritage into the planning and also policy development circles, water related. Unfortunately, we are here in the middle of a technical university in the Netherlands, and the whole university has an internet breakdown. So we are very, very sorry, and I'm sure that many people are sweating like hell to get it re-established, but unfortunately, we have to do it as we do it now. Now, what makes me tick? I go back to the 90s, and I met at that time Agarwal Anil, and he was a real say missionary to bring to the world that our cultural heritage water related, and I show you here a beautiful stepwell from India, that these beautiful stepwells were dying. He wrote a book, it was called Dying Wisdom, and he triggered me already in the 90s with this message. At the time I was working as a policy advisor at the ministry in the Netherlands. I never thought about the importance of water-related heritage for planning and also policies into the future. So I consider him to be, you can say, my spiritual father when it comes to bridging heritage, water-related with our future water issues. The next slide, please. The next slide, please.
Yeah, we are doing.
Yeah. So this is an example, the canal systems in the whole of the arid world, really going from Iran to Mexico, China, etc., which I came across about 5-6 years ago. And I was so fortunate to be able to read up on the canal systems. There were tens of thousands of canal systems going back to well before Christ, 100, 200 years before Christ. Many of them fell into disrepair. But in the early 2000s, say like 2003, 2004, some people started thinking about the relevance of these systems also for the future. Why? Because canal systems are sustainable. They only withdraw water which has fallen on the earth through a system of canals to people to be used. It's about rainwater harvesting and rainwater use. You can see it here. And the second very important feature of canals is that it's managed through a community or a system of governance which ensures equity for water, distribution for all, the needs of all the people depending on the canal system. And the third important aspect is that it is also connected to, one can say, spiritual, ethical values. It's about equity, it's about not overusing. Everybody should use his or her share, but not wasting it. And it's about not spoiling it, not polluting water. So in my view, this is a holistic system. And there is like a rejuvenation through the canal center in Yazd to again bring the attention of the world to this sustainable system. And even there has been efforts to link these systems and to build them into bigger systems to make them like hybrid water supply systems, canal systems together with other systems to show the values. The next one, please. And this is the capital city of the Netherlands. Now this was built, say, starting from 1250 with people draining the bog at the time and digging canals which were used to drain the city, but also for transporting spices, etc. It's a harbor. And then in the like 50s, 60s, people were thinking, all this water, we need roads. So there was an effort and a thinking of tunneling these canals and to turn them into roads. But nowadays, we are very happy that that never happened, because water in the cities in times of climate change is so important for cooling. And also, it's a city which is very attractive for tourists. So as times go by, we see that the function of water in Amsterdam has changed from being a transport for, say, spices, etc., and draining of water. It has turned into now a function of cooling the city. So these notions of heritage of the past is not something like solidified pride. It's not something which we only look at as historical icons, but that it can also have a function for the past. That's what triggers me in this whole effort to link heritage with future planning and also with future policies. Tino, thank you for the question. Now, what about yourself? What triggers you?
Okay, I have 2 more examples. The next slide, please. Yes, here I brought you something that I find very beautiful, because in the Netherlands we actually have a lot of windmills. They are very typical for the Dutch landscape. And the windmill is a very old thing, so all around the world, also in your own country, you will find a lot of windmills. Usually windmills are used for milling grain. But why do I bring this into relation with water? Yeah, you can see there is a canal in front of the windmills. This is a little clue. The area where we are now in the Netherlands is below sea level. And centuries ago, this land was reclaimed from the sea. back then this was a very big effort, a big, tremendous social escapade. So a lot of people had to work on this to drain large parts of land from the sea. And what they used for draining these areas are windmills. Windmills actually were used to pump out the water of the land into the canals and then back into the sea. So the wind power was used for the drainage of this area, what we can also call kind of a seascape, because this is a landscape defined by water and by the sea and by the efforts to get, in this case, rid of the water. So you can see the windmill in that sense is not only an architectural heritage or a heritage in aspect of this ingenious way of creating such a machine, but it's closely related to the whole society, to the lifestyle of this place. So we can see that in this heritage, a lot of knowledge and experience is embedded, knowledge and experience regarding centuries of drainage for this country. And of course, now we continue to use this knowledge for future problems, also for rising sea levels, etc. And I have another example, which is even more obvious. This is this water wheel. So I brought you a very beautiful example. This is in Hama in Syria. And this water wheel was used to elevate water. So the streaming power of the river is used to turn the wheel. And then the wheel itself is raising water several meters high. So it could easily be distributed to houses and neighborhoods. So this is a very simple way, a simple technique to use the power of water. Of course, water wheels were also used for example, for milling grain or for sawing wood. And nowadays they are used for gaining electricity. So a water wheel was the first source, or let's say artificial source of power, long before we had electricity or steam machines, and even before the windmill was created. And nowadays we can use water power, we can create large dams which can be destructive for the environment as well, but water is in this sense a renewable source of power. And from old water mills we can learn how to use this natural source of power without being destructive. We can have a look at these systems and see a lot of sustainable systems that worked for centuries without much impact on the environment. But now we talked about some examples that are fascinating for us. We together work on this larger agenda to bring the water-related heritage into awareness, and also we have a lot of plans for the future. But let's ask what we have done so far. Henk, you want to say something about this?
Yes, please. The idea for bringing heritage, water-related heritage, onto the agenda of the heritage world, which is not so much interested in water as a specific medium, but also on the agenda of the water world, which is not so much interested in the heritage aspects of water. That came up in 2012, just at the time I went with pension. Dietrich Six, at that time the president of ICOMOS Netherlands, came up with the idea to make an effort to bridge the two worlds, water and heritage, to bring them together, and also to link heritage not as icons of the past, but to investigate the relevance of these icons for future planning and policies. So here you see the beautiful Magere Brug in Amsterdam, which was the place, Amsterdam, where we organized a conference under the title Protecting Delta's Heritage Helps. Next, please. And that conference attracted approximately 100 plus people from all over the world: Japan, Italy, Brazil, United States, Australia, Netherlands, Germany, etc. And these participants came up with the Statement of Amsterdam, which is still valid today. And it actually expresses the relevance and the commitment of the participants to work on linking heritage and water, the two worlds, and to bring them to investigate the relevance of heritage water-related for the future. That was the sort of beginning of our journey, of our Camino. And that conference also resulted in a publication which you see here, offered to the Minister of Water at the time in 2015 at the World Water Conference in Korea. Here you see myself on the left and Diederik Six on the right, the president of ICOMOS. And next to me is the minister from the Netherlands of Water, Mrs. Melanie Schultz. And next to her is Mrs. Blanca Jimenez, the director of water of UNESCO. Next, please. This is Korea, the World Water Forum in Korea. And the book opens, it contains 28 articles, and the book opens with a statement by Dr. Bokoa, at that time the Director General of UNESCO, and the statement, and I still think this is a very relevant statement, it's the, one can say, backbone to what we are doing. The statement reads, as a basic element of life, our relationship with water is complex, entailing material and spiritual dimensions, take baptisms, etc., and embodied in heritage that is both tangible and intangible. This relationship has always been, back please, has always been a source of well-being and inspiration, as well as a source of innovation and creativity, leading us to think not only of the present, but also the future and the security of future generations. This is a very important statement. If we look at the SDGs, this statement could be maybe the 18th SDG, the C, the culture, the C, the culture SDG, Sustainable Development Goal, which we are missing today. Please take the next one. Now, Tino, on your motivation and on your activities, please brief us.
Okay, so we just heard about your book, and I want to introduce you to a forthcoming book, which will be published within the next weeks at Springer. Here you see the title, Adaptive Strategies for Water Heritage. This is the outcome of a conference that took place in 2016 here in the Netherlands. And we understand this book as a stepping stone in the process of developing international scientific interest and a scientific agenda on water and heritage. The aim of the book is also to create this change to bringing the water world and the cultural sector together. Water is examined along disciplinary lines of science, engineering, governance, and management. And on the other hand, cultural heritage is often looked at as isolated structures rather than a part of a larger system, and often misses water itself. So the aim is to bring both worlds together, water from an engineering and governance perspective and the heritage perspective. So the book contains a lot of case studies from the Netherlands, and this way the Netherlands has a very long experience in dealing with several water issues, and it moreover brings international case studies from all around the world, Mexico, the United States, Japan, China, etc. It's focusing on objects, on natural and cultural systems, and also on educational aspects. A point of the book is that water-related heritage is not a product of the past, but also a product of research and interpretation by the present. And what we want to say or to bring into awareness is that if we talk about water-related heritage, the inheritors of water-related heritage are all human beings. So you and me, we are all concerned by this topic. Another step, another achievement was the ICOMOS General Assembly in December 2017 in Delhi in India.
Next, please.
Yeah. Here you can see a slide. At the General Assembly, we introduced this topic to the members of the board, and it was a very interesting experience. So the room was full of people, and we were talking about water and water-related heritage in front of all the official heritage people. And after this talk, we got a lot of support, and many board members and members of international scientific committees stood up and expressed their support and the relevance of the topic, which is not being covered completely by science and by the heritage organization so far. The next day we organized a workshop, which was really full house. It was a very small room, which was packed full of people. And there we discussed the proposition of ICOMOS Netherlands and the Center for Global Heritage and Development to initiate an international scientific group or even committee on water and heritage for the future. We explained that people have over centuries learned how to manage water instead of fighting against it, an approach that was challenged in the 20th century. And now, as we are faced with the pressure of population growth and climatic change, we're looking for ways to get back a little bit, to combine engineering and this approach to learn to live with the water. So there's a need for a holistic approach where all knowledge is shared, combining modern technology and knowledge, traditional systems and knowledge. And on this workshop, we had a lot of people expressing their support and interest. There was Tim Badman, the director of the IUCN World Heritage Program, who pointed out the importance of an IC of water and heritage, as it could bring culture and nature closer together and to explore the traditional knowledge systems that are present. There was Avinash Tyagi, the Secretary General of ICID, Doug Cormer, the President of ICOMOS US, etc. And many national committees, Norway, Belgium, France, Thailand, Korea, etc., expressed their support. So the idea is to make a proposal for an international scientific group on water and heritage for the future that will be presented and discussed at the ICOMOS Scientific Board meeting in 2019. Let's step over, as we are talking about these plans for the future. We're already getting into this, into our ambitions. And what you can see here is a kind of a research agenda or topics for a research agenda that we developed. This research agenda is covering 5 larger fields, and I just want to go briefly through them. These are the main topics for water-related heritage. First of all, we have human services. So wherever human beings are, wherever our settlements or culture, there needs to be drinking water. Water is the basic for all human life. So we have a lot of different drinking water supply systems that evolved over the centuries in different cultures. And if you have water and human beings, you also need to get rid of the wastewater. So also in ancient cultures, we find very complicated wastewater systems that prove to be sustainable and well working for a very long time. And of course, we need irrigation to grow food. So these are basic aspects for human services. The next step or the next topic is waterscapes. I already mentioned these words. This refers to, say, landscapes that are mainly defined by water. So we have huge areas of land in the world that are reclaimed from the sea, that were reclaimed by drainage. We have places that we use for recreation. You can think about, for example, a Japanese garden where water was an aesthetic element. But even nowadays, we're using lakes and the sea for recreation. It's very important aspect also in cities. And then we have things like fisheries, large agricultural places that are defined by the water, by the management and use of water for growing food. The third topic is waterways. Water was still is a very important, or maybe one of the most important means for transport. So we have very complex systems of rivers and deltas, and many people living in these systems closely together with the water, and they managed to live with the water over centuries, developing different techniques to do so. We have canals. These are artificial waterways, complex systems consisting of bridges and locks, and they required a high level of maintenance. And of course, we have ports as the connecting points between land and water, the points of exchange for goods, people, and knowledge. The fourth topic would be water power. Once in the regard of that water is very powerful and can be used for the generation of energy. Was used centuries ago, and it still is very important for creating energy, as it is a renewable source of power. But also water is very powerful in the sense that it can be destructive. So water power also refers to the protection from water, to dams, etc., to systems that protect people and villages from the destructive force of water. And the fifth topic is worldviews. So if you think about concepts of cosmology, water always plays an important role in these stories, how the world emerged, how human life was created. It is an important point also in philosophy and plays a large role in legal aspects. So over centuries, it was very important to have the control over water, and nowadays legal systems are colliding with traditional water approaches. So this is an aspect. This is very, very important, not only for indigenous societies. And finally, now we are we are working towards this international scientific group, and we are a committee from 5 different continents. So there is, for example, Dr. Rohit Jiksasu from the ICOMOS International Committee on Risk Preparedness, Sergio Ribeiro from the Brazilian Center of International Water and Transdisciplinarity, John Peterson from the International Committee on Archaeological Heritage Management, Dr. Sadev Singh from the International Commission on Irrigation and Drainage, and Steve Brown from Australia from the International Scientific Committee on Cultural Landscapes, together with Dr. Sunita Yu from the Taiwan International Institute for Water Education.
Next, please.
And Xiao Wei Lin from the International Committee for the Conservation of Industrial Heritage. We are working towards this International Scientific Committee, and it's nice to have such a broad field of experience and broad coverage of areas in the world. For next year, we are planning a conference in Taiwan. Maybe Henk can tell you more about this.
Yes, I just want to go back a little bit to the slide, which was, yeah, this one. It shows ICID, and I'm so happy that we are very closely working together with ICID, which developed the World Water Systems Heritage Program. ICID is one of the leads on the topic of water heritage, setting up now the registrar for immaterial water-related heritage. It's about governance systems of the past. And I'm also very happy that we, together with ICID, we being ICOMOS, are so well working together. So thank you very much for that. And I look forward to continue this cooperation. And the next slide, please. Yeah, this is again the president of ICOMOS, the Netherlands. And what you see is the book in his hand, but behind him is a little shield. And that shield shows the importance of water heritage and the water is the blue color. And the threats in connection with heritage is red, but it also is pointing at the importance of heritage for future planning and policy making. Threats obviously include climate change, and the white in between red and blue is hopefully we will have wisdom enough to connect these two, the relics of the past with the future. So that shield has been handed out to several water-related heritage sites, including Amsterdam, in Belgium, in Taiwan, and next week there will be one in Brazil, where Diederik will bring the shield. The next, please. The next slide shows important sites where you can find information. The first one is on the conference in Taiwan next year, where we will develop a research agenda for the 5 themes which Tino has just explained. So if you are interested to submit an abstract, please go to the site and register your interest in the conference, and also send us an abstract before the end of this year. And hopefully we will be then selecting your abstract also to be presented in the conference in Taiwan, which will be from the 25th till the 29th of May next year. As I say, the conference is meant to develop an agenda and to attract scientists and policymakers and practitioners for the 5 themes as we have just explained. The next link is to the ICOMOS site, and what you find there is the YouTube film. It's a very educative film on the relation between water-related heritage and the future. and you can find that film through direct clicking. You find more information on what we are doing on the ICOMOS Netherlands site. And the last site is for the Center for Global Heritage and Development. It's a consortium of universities here in the Netherlands, which is, say, like in the lead with this development of the research agenda, but not only the Center for Global Heritage and Development, as Tino already explained, we are working together with scientists from Australia, from India, America, all being in the program committee, and both from ICOMOS international scientific committees, such as the ICAM, International Commission on Heritage Management, on ICORP, International Commission on Risk Mitigation and Resilience. We are also working with the CIRAG, it's a Transdisciplinary Water Institute in Brazil. We are working with ICID, and we also have the cooperation of the International Water Association. So you can see there are quite important international players having interest in our work. With this, we have come to the end. We hope to have attracted some interest. Please feel free to ask questions, but in particular, if you have interest in the topic, register yourself for the conference and also prepare an abstract. Thank you very much for this opportunity on behalf of Tino and myself, and we are ready to answer any questions or discuss any issues that may have come up. Thank you.
Thank you, Henk, and thank you, Tino, for very good presentation and on water heritage. What ICOMOS and you as a water ambassador and Tino are doing in creating awareness about water related heritage structures and sites. And now we invite all the participants to send their questions through chat, so that we can forward those questions to the speakers, or you may raise the hand so that we can give you some speaking rights also, and so that you can share your views and questions. So now we request all the participants to give their questions through chat or raise the hand. Do you have any questions? Mr. Henk, so far we don't have any questions, but we'll wait for some time if somebody raises the question and then or raise the hand.
Okay.
We'll just wait. We are just looking into the questions if there are any, or we'll give. Sohaib, we will give you Sohaib from Afghanistan. We'll give you the speaking rights so that you can discuss and share your experience from Afghanistan. Mr. Sohaib? Mr. Sohaib? Mr. Lee? Mr. Lee from Korea. We are giving you speaking rights. If you want to say something or share some heritage site from Korea, so you can speak and then do that. Mr. Rebecca?
Yes, hello. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm calling in from the UK.
Yes. Okay.
It was a fantastic presentation, really interesting to me. I'm an independent, I'm a river ecologist, and I've been working over the last couple of years on some colleagues on the links between river ecosystem health and culture, particularly in the area of flow regimes, the flow patterns of rivers, and their link to the cultural and biological diversity and functioning of river systems. I just wanted to say that you know, this is a very interesting initiative, and I will certainly look into the program for your conference for 2019. I also wanted to mention that I've just got back from a meeting on great rivers in China, where UNESCO launched its Category 2 Center on River Civilizations, and there was a lot of good discussion on the links between World Heritage and river systems, from source right through to the deltas and seas. So you know, and there are some initiatives building in that area that I think would be good to connect with. And I further wanted to mention that I chair a small working group under the Sustainable Water Future program on rivers, flows, and people, where we are starting to work, and have been for a couple of years now, on the links between different river cultures and the flow patterns and dynamics of rivers, and how those are altered by human development historically and of course in the future. So I just wanted to make those comments and say I'm based in the UK. I'm extremely interested in this initiative. I'm very happy I joined the webinar, and I hope you were able to hear what I have had to say. I would be interested to hear from the presenters about how you're thinking about the ecosystems that support water. You know, when I think about water, I think about the underpinning ecosystem. So I'd love to hear something about that. Thank you.
Well, will you take it, Henk, or me? Okay, first of all, thank you very much. This is a very great input, and I would like to exchange more ideas about what you said and about your workshop. So please get in touch with us via email. I'm sure you can find the web address somewhere on this website. The ecosystems that you mentioned are a very important point. So far, we are concentrating on in that sense, on cultural heritage, on man-created things, but we already realized that ecosystems are very important. So we had, or Henk told me about an example in Sweden, when it was about protecting an old mill, which is on the same hand disturbing the fish in the river. So at this point, we realized that we really have to consider ecosystems, not only on a large scale, but also related to objects. And it would be very, very good to get in touch with you to further develop these thoughts. Maybe Henk, I don't know if you have an input.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you also for your question. About 2 weeks ago, the COP13 of Ramsar that was held in Dubai, and our Dr. Yu from the Taiwan International Institute of Water Education was there on behalf of our program committee. And I attended the conference, on the prep conference for the COP13 on wetlands in Wilm in Germany in February, the first day of March this year. So we are clearly looking for a link with the wetlands and ecosystems community, including IUCN, including the Ramsar. I'm going to talk to the Ramsar people just in a few minutes from now, to bring them also to Taiwan. Yeah, so your point is well taken, and our particular interest is to not only look at the wetlands from, say, the importance of indigenous cultures, but also to consider present, contemporary, constructed wetlands. Such as, for example, Lake Higgins in Australia. We have the Aubu wetlands in Taiwan. We have Oostvaardersplassen. So for us, the agenda under waterscapes includes very much the nature component, but also the contemporary, cultural, the characteristics, or which led to some even constructed wetlands, which, of course, as you know, are amounting to I don't know how many thousands of square kilometers nowadays. So thank you for your question. You're very welcome to to submit an abstract. And on your Great Rivers conference, please send us an email, and that we can, because we have leads on the rivers. One is Professor Lin from Taiwan, and the other one is Irina Churugi, and it's actually led by Tiki, the Industrial Heritage Committee.
Thank you. I will do so. And just to mention, I am on the IUCN Freshwater Conservation Committee, and we're meeting in December. So I will also update the IUCN Freshwater Committee on this webinar, and my colleagues who are involved in this topic internationally. So thank you again, and I will follow up for sure. Thank you.
And what was your name again? Sorry.
It's Rebecca Tham.
Rebecca Tham.
Yeah, THARM. I'll put my email in the address line as well, just to be on the safe side. Thank you.
Thank you for your.
Thank you, Ms. Henk. And we'll be putting this recording of this webinar on our website in few days. And now we are seeing two hands raised by Dr. Mukles and Dr. Vijay. First, we'll give chance to Dr. Mukles, and then later on we'll give chance to Dr. Vijay to share their views and questions or their suggestions or comments. So, Dr. Mukles, can you speak over the microphone? Dr. Mukles?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, you can raise your question or your suggestion or comments. You can speak.
Okay, it's a great pleasure that I can join this webinar for the first time, Mr. Haresh. In my country, Malaysia, my organization is the largest granary, and we have been transformed from the traditional paddy cultivation to the modernized irrigation. With this webinar knowledge that I have gained today, I think I will be preparing something for the conference in Taiwan next year, and will be sending an abstract to you by the end of this year. That is just to show my interest in the subject on heritage. Thank you very much, ICID office, for this interesting webinar.
Thank you, Dr. Vijay. Now, Dr. Vijay, now you can share your experience or your views or your comments on this webinar.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. This is Vijay from India. Thanks to Henk and Tino for a fantastic presentation. This has really brought the water and heritage together. Just wanted to inform that ICID also has heritage irrigation structures which are well received and documented on the ICID websites. The members can visit and look the information there. And also the ICID World Water Council WSH, for which we still look forward to the nominations from around the world. Thanks again to Henk and Tino. Thank you so much.
Henk, there are no more questions. You want to give some last minute comments? Henk?
Unmute. He is muted from his. Yeah.
Tino?
Tino.
Yes, me too. This was excellent. We apologize for the technological problems, but it was a good opportunity. And it's also great to hear the feedback from all over the world.
Okay. Yeah, I think it was a good gathering of people from all over the world. And ICID would like to thank everybody for participating in the webinar. And I look forward to the conference in Taipei. And then I'm part of the program committee, so please do let me know if I can be of any assistance. I'm working with Steve on the waterscapes theme. So thank you again, Henk and Tino. I look forward to meeting you sometime soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Sander. Thank you very much.
Great.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Recording.